10 hidden post-war discoveries about World War II that shaped history. Did you know that some of the most astonishing discoveries about World War II were made long after the war ended? Secret operations, lost documents, hidden atrocities, and untold stories emerged decades later, changing how we understand one of the most defining conflicts in human history. In this video, we'll reveal 10 post-war discoveries that shocked historians and reshaped our perception of the war. Stay with us until the end, because the final revelation still impacts our world today. 1. The Nazi medical experiments and the creation of the Nuremberg Code. Imagine a courtroom where the world's darkest secrets are exposed. That's exactly what happened during the Nuremberg trials in 1946. But beyond holding Nazi leaders accountable, the trials unveiled something even more chilling: inhumane medical experiments carried out on innocent prisoners. What they found: prisoners in concentration camps were subjected to gruesome experiments, freezing temperatures, high-altitude tests, and even forced sterilizations. These experiments weren't just for military purposes. They were cruel and unnecessary, often leading to the victims' deaths. Did you know that these experiments weren't fully exposed until after the war? What are your thoughts on how these revelations shaped medical ethics? Let us know in the comments. 2. The Manhattan Project's true scale. Everyone knows about the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But the secret project behind those bombs, the Manhattan Project, was far bigger than anyone realized during the war. What they found: post-war documents revealed that the project involved over 130,000 people across 3 countries, and it cost the equivalent of $25 billion today. Scientists worked in total secrecy to develop nuclear weapons, many grappling with the ethical consequences of their work. The fallout: the Manhattan Project wasn't just about ending World War II. It sparked a nuclear arms race that shaped global politics for decades, leading to fears of mutual destruction during the Cold War. Do you think the development of nuclear weapons was necessary to end the war? Or did it create more long-term dangers? Let us know your thoughts. 3. The secret of Unit 731. This one is hard to believe, and even harder to talk about. For years, the world didn't know about Unit 731, a biological warfare division of the Japanese military that carried out horrific human experiments during the war. What they did: prisoners were exposed to diseases like plague, cholera, and anthrax. Others endured vivisections without anesthesia, as doctors studied how the human body reacted to various injuries and diseases. Why it was hidden? After the war, the US government struck a deal with some Unit 731 members, offering immunity from prosecution in exchange for their research data. This decision remains controversial to this day. 4. The Soviet Union's hidden casualties. The Eastern Front of World War II was one of the most brutal battlegrounds, but for years, the true cost to the Soviet Union was unknown. What we learned: post-war archives revealed that the Soviet Union suffered over 27 million deaths, including both military and civilian casualties. The sheer scale of the loss was far higher than anyone had previously reported. Why it matters? This revelation highlighted the immense human cost of the war and changed how historians viewed the Eastern Front's impact on the war's outcome. 5. The complex issue of wartime collaboration. In many occupied countries, some local populations collaborated with the Axis powers. These collaborations were often kept quiet after the war, but post-war investigations brought them to light. What happened? In France, the Vichy government actively collaborated with Nazi Germany. In other countries, some people supported occupying forces out of fear, survival, or political beliefs. The ethical dilemma. These discoveries raised difficult questions about complicity and morality during wartime. Would you betray your values to protect your family? 6. Women's role in the war effort. During World War II, women stepped into roles traditionally held by men, from factory work to military service. But it wasn't until after the war that historians truly recognized the extent of their contributions. What they did: women worked in munitions factories, served as code breakers, and even joined resistance movements across Europe. Their efforts were critical to the war's success. 7. Recognizing post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. During World War II, soldiers returning from battle were expected to shake it off and move on. But post-war research showed that many veterans were suffering from serious psychological trauma. What we know now: The condition we now call PTSD wasn't officially recognized until decades later. Today, it's a critical part of how we support veterans and understand the psychological impact of war. 8. The discovery of mass graves. Decades after the war, mass graves continued to be discovered across Europe and Asia, revealing the scale of atrocities committed during the conflict. Why it matters. Each discovery serves as a reminder of the horrors of war and the importance of preserving historical memory to ensure these events are never forgotten. 9. The hunt for Nazi war criminals. After the war ended, some of the most infamous Nazi leaders and war criminals managed to escape justice. For years, they lived in hiding, often under new identities, in countries like Argentina, Brazil, and Spain. What happened? One of the most notorious cases was Adolf Eichmann, one of the architects of the Holocaust. He fled to Argentina and lived quietly for years until Israeli intelligence agents tracked him down in 1960. In a daring operation, they kidnapped him and brought him to Israel to stand trial for his crimes. The impact. Eichmann's trial was a historic moment, as it allowed Holocaust survivors to testify publicly about the atrocities they endured. It also sent a message to the world: war criminals could not outrun justice forever. Did you know that many former Nazis were never caught and lived out their lives in peace? Some even worked for foreign governments after the war. 10. The origins of the Cold War. While many believed World War II brought an end to global conflict, it actually planted the seeds for a new era of tension, the Cold War. What happened? During the war, the United States and the Soviet Union were allies against Nazi Germany. But as the war ended, ideological differences between capitalism and communism became impossible to ignore. At the Yalta and Potsdam conferences, cracks began to form. Joseph Stalin's ambitions to expand Soviet influence across Eastern Europe clashed with American and British interests. By the late 1940s, Europe was divided into Western democracies and Eastern communist states. The consequences. These tensions led to a nuclear arms race, proxy wars in countries like Korea and Vietnam, and decades of espionage between the two superpowers. The world was constantly on the brink of nuclear war, and much of modern geopolitics can be traced back to this post-war period. Which of these discoveries surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Revealing Curiosities for more fascinating content. Stay tuned for our next video.